$550 million is what the state of Illinois has set aside for migrant healthcare. That's fully subsidized by taxpayers, but that cost is growing, and it's growing to the point where November 6th, the governor is actually going to be suspending the new enrollees for non-citizens in Illinois to register and get on that taxpayer subsidized healthcare coverage. So we're talking here about those 65 and older who are going to be already suspended for new enrollees. And this doesn't mean that those who are currently enrolled aren't going to be covered, because those who are currently enrolled are going to be covered. But you've got the question of how much this is all costing, because if you recall, 2020 migrant healthcare, taxpayer subsidized migrant healthcare enacted, and it was for 65 and older. 2022, they expanded that even more for those 42 and older, and the cost was only said to be, several hundred or several $1 million, but then it ballooned into several hundreds of millions of dollars, to the point where the projected cost was $1 odd billion. Well, the governor, for the new budget that started July 1st, he said that they're going to suspend those enrolling over the age of 42, and that the co-pays would be implemented to help save some money. And if the 65 and up program hit a threshold of 16,500, they'd have to suspend future enrollees there. Well, here we are now 4 months into the fiscal year, and they've already announced they're going to have to suspend the 65 and older crowd from enrolling because they're going to reach that cap of 16,500. So we talked about that last week. On Friday, State Senator Chapin Rose and State Representative Adam Niemerg held a unrelated news conference, but they were asked about the ongoing migrant costs. Here's State Senator Chapin Rose.
These guys are blowing a hole in the state budget. We can't afford this, and it's high time that the Democrats from Chicago to New York City to the White House figure out that this problem is killing us as Americans. Let me just start off with the fact that I think it's despicable that Governor Pritzker has diverted money that was intended for the working poor and homeless who are citizens of the state of Illinois to be used to house themselves and their families, and that's now being diverted. I mean, look, working poor are paying taxes. That was money intended for them to stay in their house so they don't become homeless. So I probably just said everything I need to say, but I don't think we should be spending one more penny on this. And also, let me say this. This is exactly why this budget that passed earlier this year was such a phony baloney budget. You had a $1.2 billion spend projected in Medicaid for migrants, right? And they only allocated 650 million of the 1.2. So right off the top, you have $500 million, and the governor says, trust me, I'll manage it. Well, that trust only worked till September when he said, hey, everybody, we're going to take copays. Never mind, we're not giving anybody copays anymore if you're indigent. Never mind the fact that everybody here, when you go to the hospital, you got to pay your copay. But if you're somehow an illegal alien, you don't have to pay a copay. Well, guess what, guys? These guys are blowing a hole in the state budget. We can't afford this, and it's high time that the Democrats from Chicago to New York City to the White House figure out that this problem is killing us as Americans. We need a healthy immigration system that encourages people to come to the United States of America and work here. Most of the people want to work here, but what you can't do is stick your head in the sand and pretend there's millions of people coming through a porous border and all's going to end well. It's not ending well. And when you're taking funds away from the working poor to keep them in their own homes, that's a crying shame.
So State Senator Chapin Rose highlighting how the budget amount of $550 million seems to be it's going to be blown through, because some of the estimated costs now are that it's actually going to be $850+ million. So you're talking $300 million above what was budgeted. Will they have to come back with a supplemental appropriation for that? It's a big question that we'll see happen during 6 days of fall veto session starting tomorrow. And actually, tomorrow's show will delve deeper into a whole host of things, because fall veto session is going to touch on energy policy, possibly the school choice scholarship program, possibly new legislation to require police confiscate firearms for those who are subject of orders of protection, to even questions about medically assisted end of life, which just got a news release that there's going to be informational kiosks of sorts set up at the Capitol during fall veto session to focus on end-of-life medically assisted services. So what exactly that'll be all about, we'll see. But just some of the things that could come up during fall veto session, including the possibility, even though the governor and the Speaker of the House have said that they don't anticipate a supplemental appropriation during fall veto session, with the suspension of the 65 and up migrants for taxpayer subsidized healthcare costs, and the projection that it's going to be possibly $300 million over budget. We're only 4 months into the fiscal year. So either they're going to come back with a supplemental appropriation for fall veto session, or they'll come back with a supplemental appropriation in January with the start of the new year. And the new year of legislative activity. So we'll be watching that closely. But State Representative Adam Niemerg, he also sounded off on this situation and the budgetary constraints that there are, and just the concerns that, listen, taxpayers are struggling paying their bills, going paycheck to paycheck. They have taxpayers with high property taxes and high gasoline taxes and the cost of inflation. Plus, they've got their own health insurance policies that they have to pay for every month. State Representative Adam Niemerg reacting to all of that.
We have folks throughout the state of Illinois who can't afford their insurance premiums. I mean, if you go to work and you're trying to make a premium, you have a family of 4, you're looking at about $1,200 a month just for healthcare premium. Yet we're letting illegal immigrants come across the border. ICE just admitted 5.7 million. That's what we know, 5.7 million. That's nearly half of the state of Illinois' population. We don't know where these folks are going. We don't know what they're here doing. We don't know what ties they have to terrorist organizations, maybe possibly in the Middle East with what's going on. These are all unknowns. And for the governor to say the situation, he writes a letter to the president saying the situation is untenable and he needs federal assistance, this is ridiculous. His very own policies caused this to happen. Having Illinois as a sanctuary state, shutting down ICE facilities throughout the state of Illinois, making Chicago a sanctuary city. Now he's saying the situation is untenable? Give me a break. His policies directly made this happen. We've got to get the border under control, and we're all for legal immigration and American prosperity. But we have 5.7 million that we know about that have come across the border. We don't know their ties. We don't know what they're doing. We have folks in the state of Illinois hurting daily, yet we're allocating our budgetary items, and that doesn't even count for housing, transportation. They won't give me those numbers. All I know is what I've seen on the $1.2 billion. So things have to change.
Clearly, the debate is far from over, but we'll be watching that closely as well. Again, thanks for tuning in. Weekday mornings will be right here, Bishop on Air. Just search for Bishop on Air on YouTube. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you can be staying plugged in with what's going on, because veto session at the State House starts tomorrow. And again, there's going to be a lot of activity, high-flying activity. We'll be reviewing each day's activity each weekday morning here with Bishop on Air. So thanks for hanging out. Gotten notes that you guys are getting your patches. Greatly appreciate that. We'll actually see if we could possibly get some stickers available at some point, some Bishop on Air stickers. And I do have one guy who said the mail messed up and didn't get his patch. We got the card, but he didn't get a patch. So we'll see if we can get that out to you as well. So again, thanks for tuning in. Be back here tomorrow morning, 7:30-ish or so, and we'll go live. And then also be sure to watch for the clips throughout. It's all right here with Bishop on Air. Have yourself a great Monday morning, and thanks for tuning in.